Hello, this is the Mao Hearthstone again, and I just wanted to share a really great game I had on Dragon Evoker Pirates, because I feel like it's one of the strongest comps this season, and it's a comp that I feel like a lot of people don't play, and they end up losing because they end up just playing Evokers or just playing Pirates. When I think the true strength of Evoker is when you're able to combo with Pirates. So to briefly explain why it works and what the composition is, first of all, you run Evoker, 6-drop dragon. Whenever you play a tavern spell, it improves by 2/1, and it gives those stats to all your dragons start of combat. That's great, scales really well with tavern spells. You can keep those stats with a poet, which keeps adjacent stats. So you put that next to the Evoker, suddenly it's buffing itself every combat by that amount and keeping it permanently. And then the reason it works really well with Pirates is that if you have a Privateer on the board, the 5-drop Pirate, whenever you play a bounty, it plays an additional time. And the Evoker actually sees that additional time and counts it as 2 tavern spells being played for every single bounty you play. And that works with Golden Privateer. So you're able to get 3 procs on every single bounty you play, which naturally scales up your Evoker way faster than any other method. And then if you have a Golden Evoker, it happens twice as much. If you have a Golden Poet, it doubles the stats at start of combat, and it starts to get out of hand really quickly. And you're kind of strong the entire time too. So let's talk about how do you get there. Like, that's obviously what the comp is, but the most useful information is, okay, how do I actually play the game? So first of all, you get into a lobby, you notice this lobby especially, you've got Murlocs, Nagas, Pirates. Those are all what I would call money-making tribes. They're really good with Bran. You can get Seafloor Recruiter from Nagas, you can get Cold Light Divers from Murlocs to start making a lot of money in tavern spells, and that can help you get to what you want to build, which is Pirates. You start off with Pirates most of the time. You kind of want to buy Pirates anyways, because they make you money, and they stabilize you in the early game. But once you have Pirates, you can start going into Dragons a lot easier, because Pirates give you the money and the strength to level quickly, get to tier 6, run an Evoker. Your board is normally going to look like a bunch of random Pirates that are making you money, like maybe Bigwig Bandit or Lost City Looter, and then an Evoker on the side that you're just going to passively start scaling up, maybe a Poet next to it if you can find one, and then keeping those 2 minions while you're just going through your motions on Pirates. And then slowly throughout the game, you'll transition into more Poets and less Pirates so that your Evoker can start buffing your entire board, because it's all dragons, because Evoker only buffs dragons. So you'll see here I'm starting off pretty normally. This 1-drop dragon's really good, and I almost always buy it early game because it helps stabilize you by giving you good minions on the time when damage cap turns to 10. So even if you lose the early combats, you end up having kind of a snowball of economy and tempo in the later turns. And just basic tips with double header too. You want to find triples, you want to, like, I think here I buy this Oozling Gladiator because it gives me buffs and I can play those on the shop before I buy my next minion. So I'll hold off on playing them here, level. Maybe I lose this combat, but next combat I can get really strong and I'm guaranteed to win. But yeah, it applies for basically any anomaly. You don't really need an anomaly for the strategy to work, which is one of the other good things about it. And there are some really great things you can do once you have a strong Evoker Poet setup. Most notably, Charmwing. I think Charmwing is what really brings the comp out over the rest of the comps in this game at the moment, because you're able to get so much max health permanently on all your minions. Sometimes Charmwing can attack multiple times if you're against undeads, and it just gets out of control very quickly with Poets. You can put Poets next to each other so that even your Poets keep the stats in combat, which is also amazing, so then your Charmwing never misses. And on top of that, all your dragons are going to have Divine Shield, because you can run Amber Guardian, a tier 3 dragon, that gives something Divine Shield start of combat. That with a Poet is permanent Divine Shield. So you'll see, especially later in this video, that once I've got my kind of evoker setup, I'll start transitioning more towards the Charmwing, more towards the Amber Guardians and the Poet chaining. Great thing about Poet too, it's a tier 4 minion. You can get Eyes of the Earth Mother, and then you can start goldening it that way, so that you don't take them out of the pool as much, and you're able to find more. Okay, I've skipped ahead here a little bit, but this is kind of where you want to be, where you're leveling, maybe you find a triple or two. I get one here from the Compass and the Duo, which is great, and I have one in shop. And then you really want to go for 6 drops when you're doing this comp, because you kind of need Rogers and Evoker, and pretty much all the 6 drop dragons are good. Like Charmwing is great, obviously. You can get the Ring guy, which helps start buffing your Evoker, because the rings that you cast in combat, the Evoker sees, and it actually counts as permanent scaling. So you'll see here, I'm kind of doing it backwards, where I don't have the pirate stuff yet, but I know that's kind of the comp that I want to play, and so I start running the Ring Dragon and Evoker. You gotta make sure to position the Evoker relatively far in the back, so that it can start staying alive while seeing all these stats, because if it's dead, obviously it doesn't keep the permanent buff. So you'll see, I think the reason my board positioning is a little awkward here is because I know I'm playing into cleaves, because pirates are in the lobby, so I don't really want to put them next to my taunt minion, and I kind of want my taunt minion far right. I'll see if I fix that positioning or not. But this is a great spot, because we have Evoker. That's what you need most, like absolutely most. I mean, the comp doesn't really work if you don't have a way to start scaling your Evoker. But yeah, you'll see here I'm playing around cleave while also putting them as far back as possible. And then yeah, now that I have the Evoker, this is where most people, I feel like, they have Evoker and they have the Ring Dragon, and they get baited into just playing kind of a normal dragon-only comp, where you're just running these two. And it can work, it definitely scales nicely, like it's not horrible, but the difference between, I think, like a first place dragon build and maybe a second or third place dragon build is whether or not you're able to get enough economy to start scaling up and buffing your Evoker. Because I think at the end of the day, no matter how much spell scaling you have, even if you have all the Nagas, you really need everything to go perfectly for Ring Dragons to work well. And even when you have Ring Dragons working well, most of the time you're not able to run a Charmwing, because you need the Charmwing to get the buffs, so it has to be pretty far back in your lineup. It just gets very awkward with positioning, whereas Evoker is a lot easier, I find, most of the time. Here I even find a second Evoker, which is nice, because it's pretty much double scaling until I eventually triple him. The nice thing about tripling a card like Evoker is that it'll actually combine the stats of both the previous Evokers, so it's not like it'll just take the larger one. So it actually is worth it to run 2 Evokers. But you'll see here, even though I have 0 bounty generation, I'm already buying the Privateer, because I know that I'm going to want to buy every single bounty I can get my hands on. And I'm pretty much expecting to kind of lose the combat, so I'm running a little bit more economy, like the 7-4 and whatnot, because I don't feel that strong yet. I mean, my Evokers are obviously scaling, and I have the Ring Dragon, but I haven't played too many Tavern spells. I'll also taunt things, if I can, that aren't the Evokers or the Ring Dragon. Like, I think Proud Privateer is always a great taunt target, because he'll be on your board when you're running this build, and you just kind of want him in the back. You don't really care if he dies first. Rogers is also a great buff target once you eventually get that going. Some of the good trinkets for this build, I would definitely think all the good pirate trinkets are still good for this build, like the ones that give you bounties at the start of your turn, the one that gives you a Privateer and gives you bounties. Time War Poet is obviously amazing, because it just does your job. You don't really have to find any poets after getting a Time War Poet. It keeps the stats on all your minions, and your own poet, which is just amazing. But you can already kind of see here, like, this guy's rings are larger, and so he's got way more ring scaling, but since my start of combat is so much stronger than his, I'm able to kind of cover some of his units and kill them in one shot, whereas he has to ramp up a little bit, and he's vulnerable to what happened here, having his ring guy get sniped, whereas I don't care as much. So I mean, Greater Trinket here, pretty important. None of these are that exciting for me. Curator Sticker's good, but I don't really have the board space for it, especially since I'm getting 2 of them. I don't really need Redeemer Portrait because I already have a comp, which is dragons. The battle cries are nice, but I don't really have Bran, so it would be a lot of money, but it wouldn't be that good for me actually finding what I need, which is Rogers and the bounty guy. So I choose this trinket instead, just because it's really good when you have it in a pair. You only need to play 3 battle cries to get 4 battle cries. And then I try to cycle these battle cries like this amalgam that can help generate tavern spells. Sometimes I'm getting tavern spells from the blue dragons, sometimes I'm getting spell scaling, which is also nice because I plan on keeping this ring guy for at least a little bit longer until I find Rogers. But you'll notice here too, like, I'm against a dead guy, I can play as greedy as I want, and I'm going to start buying things like search through time so that I can look at 6 drops, because I'm obviously looking for a Charmwing, Evoker. Here I hit the Rogers, which is amazing, because it means next turn I can start kind of cranking, so to speak, and APMing my way to victory, which is what you want to be. You want to be at that spot where you've got all the money, you've got all the Evokers, and you just want to spend every single turn APMing as fast as you possibly can. I think here I might even end on the mycologist just to start making money. Either that or the spell buff guy, but I end on Caligos. Interesting. I think the reason I bought Caligos is because I was worried about tempo, and the battlecry minions that I get from my trinkets are really good tempo. But to be honest, I probably could have bought mycologist here, now that I'm watching this in post. Because you kind of want the money. More so than you want the tempo. But yeah, this is kind of exactly where you want to be. You've got the Rogers, you've got the bounty guy. None of them are golden yet, so we're not exactly infinite, so to speak. But we have a really good trinket that helps make us a lot of money. Money-making trinkets are always king, because you're able to just play your comp better. There's very few trinkets that actually are worth not making money for. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Unless you're in a comp that doesn't need money like Undeads. But that's a tangent. So now that I have Rogers, Bounty Guy, Evoker, I'm starting to look for the other pieces. I still really need a Poet very badly. Like, this is probably not a first place unless I find a Poet pretty soon. I also really need Charmwing still. I would like some Amber Guardians to end on once I have that Poet, to start making a little bit of Divine Shield happen. You'll see here too, I'm pretty much finalizing my board. I'm pretty greedy. Like, even though that guy had a lot of stats on him, the tier 3 dragon, I know that this is my finished board now. I'm running Privateer, Rogers, Evoker, don't need any of this other stuff. I'm just gonna start selling. So now I'm just trying to find minions that are battle cries for my trinkets, but also minions like this dragon that technically only cost 1 gold, because you buy them and then you sell 2 minions and it counts as 3 gold spent for Rogers. And that's kind of the easiest way to stay infinite on Rogers, I find, is you start cycling. Like, you'll see me buy even this Dark Crest Strategist. It's not even a Battlecry minion, but since it has a chance of getting a 1-drop Battlecry Naga, and it counts as 3 gold for effectively 1 gold, I'm buying it. And then, yeah, I'm buying Eyes here in advance because I know I'm going to want the Eyes, either an Amber Guardian or a Poet, maybe even a Terragosa if you're desperate and you just need some way to keep the stats. This Caligos is obviously doing great for me too with this trinket. And now that I have Proud Privateer, I'm kind of infinite. You'll notice too sometimes I don't play the gold bounty until I absolutely need to, because there's a chance that I don't have enough time in the actual turn to spend on my gold. And in that case, I want the gold bounty for my next turn, so that in case I get really unlucky with my Rogers and I just get nothing good. I think here I actually misplay. No, it's not this turn, but I play the... Oh no, it is this turn. I play the friendly bounty and I high roll 2 Caligoses, which triples it back into my hand. So that's something to be a little careful of if you have a non-golden dragon on your board. Don't end on the blue bounty. I think the reason I did it was because I just wanted as many Evoker procs as possible. And I don't think I even got punished here. Like, you can already tell off of 1 turn of APMing, I'm enormous. Like, suddenly my Evokers are giving, I think that's 300, 400 attack per combat. And this is without a Poet to keep any of these stats. So it just goes to show how crazy fast it scales once you have that golden Privateer. And now I'm feeling confident because I make a lot of money, I've got all this money in my hands, I've got everything I need. Like, you don't even really need golden Rogers from this point because you have this great trinket. So those are things to think about while you're choosing your trinket, is what will help me go infinite, what will help me find my pieces easiest. Like here I get second Rogers. I could even see an argument for selling the Caligos to run a second Rogers. The reason I don't here is because I don't have Poet, and so I don't feel truly strong enough yet. But yeah, we'll just keep rolling, keep looking for stuff. I find the Charmwing off the friendly bounties, which is another great thing, is that you'll just get random dragons too, which is awesome because those can be Poets, those can be Amber Guardians. I don't buy the second eyes here because I kind of need more stats first. I'm happy selling the Caligos there just because I have Charmwing, so I know that I'm not going to end on the Caligos anyways. And I can start buffing the Charmwing up instead with these battle cries. You always want to keep your Charmwing leftmost because it can get all the purple bounties, which just naturally kind of scales its health as well. I like cycling Divine Shield just because I don't have Poet Amber Guardian yet, so anything helps. And as you can tell, I have more money than I could ever spend, probably. The other nice thing is Brood of Nozdormu is also really good because it doubles the attack of your leftmost guy, but with Poets, it actually keeps those stats, and so your leftmost guy will eventually just turn into a scam minion where it's got like 25,000 attack, just because you've just been cycling these Brood of Nozdormus. I think also if you can, you want to start buying scam spells, you want to start buying armor spells, you want to start buying any kind of utility tavern spell that can help you get an advantage. Because you're pretty good against scam with this comp because you have the Divine Shield, but things like Spellcrafts never hurt, a couple Crabs never hurt no one. Divine Shield is really good. But you can see this guy's doing the same thing too. He's got a Brand, he's got Golden Evoker, Golden Charmwing, but it's just nowhere near the size of our Evokers because we have that Privateer. Like, it's the key thing missing from his board, and it just means that this isn't even like a close fight really. I even get a second Charmwing proc, which is gross. Not that it hits anything that a Poet's saving, but those are kind of the things about this comp that can help it get really out of control, is those combats where you get a second hit out of nowhere. But you can already tell, like with the one singular Golden Poet, all of a sudden, I'm keeping all these stats. My dragons are at 1,000. You pretty much always Poet an Evoker and a Charmwing, because the Evoker is always staying on your board, and the Charmwing is the best dragon to buff. Here I get the Rogers triple too. You don't even really need it at this point, to be honest, but I mean, why not? It's just great. But you can kind of see I've already taunted both of them because I know that they're the minions that I want to be hit first. If people are running Scam, or if they're running like a big scary cleave, I can just put them rightmost and feel pretty good. So now I'm kind of in Operation Poet, where I really just want as many spellcrafts as possible so I can get Divine Shield, as many Poets as possible, and then kind of finding the rest of my golden minions. Like, I want Amber Guardians to start giving things Divine Shield, I want Golden Charmwing, I want as many eyes as possible for these Poets. I think I end up even selling this Evoker because I don't really need the Evoker. You only really need one Evoker for this comp to work. The more the merrier, obviously, but since I have this Poet and this Amber Guardian, I don't actually need another Evoker. But yeah, so it's definitely an advanced comp. Like, you have to be pretty comfortable with APMing. You have to know what you're doing getting into it. But hopefully this video can help shed some of the lights on how people are getting these crazy Evoker stats for their thumbnails and whatnot. I think in this game it gets to a really satisfying 1,500 on my Evoker, but there really is nothing quite like it when it comes to scaling. I don't think dragons get better than this, unless you hit like a crazy high roll ring dragon build, but this is a lot more consistent, a lot easier to do because you have so much money. I would never really go double Charmwing, like you'll see one in my shop here, but I just don't think it's worth it because Charmwing can't buff itself. So all you'd really be doing is having a second Charmwing attack, which isn't that useful. I'd rather just have more Poets, more Divine Shield. But you can already see here, like now the Poets are keeping each other. You kind of got this chain of Poets going on, so that they all keep each other's stats. And I have guaranteed Divine Shield, and it's being kept on whatever I have, because I only have one dragon on each end that doesn't have Divine Shield. So it's just excellent. I mean, here on out, it's just smooth sailing. I get a second attack, and the poets keep it all. And you can kind of see how this starts to get a little gross. Like, I don't really know what beats the comp from here on. You can't really get scammed easily. You don't really lose to undeads at all because you have more attacks. I don't think there's anything that really outscales it. You're better than in combat stuff because you're actually keeping all your stats. Like ring dragons really struggle, or like a spell scaling Naga build that's in combat really struggles to keep their stats. Whereas this build just gets to do it all. It gets to have the gross in combat scaling, and it gets to keep the stats. I just think it's so strong. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'll let the rest of the game play out. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this helped you learn a little bit more about the game, how to play some of these harder comps, and what it looks like in like a sample game. Because you can see here too, like it was pretty humble beginnings there for a moment. It was just an Evoker. I think I only found my poet like turn 11, something like that. That's pretty late for this comp, I'd say. You wanted it a bit sooner, but I kept the faith. I knew that this was the comp I wanted to play from the start of the game. I picked all the dragon trinkets because I knew I wanted to play dragons. And yeah, I'll let this play out.